Okay. Hey everyone, this is Lacelyn Hernandez, independent Scentsy consultant. So I am doing a training tonight, and this is in regard to Fortune is in the follow-up. I do apologize in advance about my voice. It's been a crazy long week. I've been hosting a lot of parties this week, working with a lot of team members, and so this is the result of the hard work and all of that. But moving forward, I wanted to share a little bit about how I actually do my follow-ups. Now, the best thing about the follow-up system is that every consultant will find what works best for them. And what I really mean by that is there are going to be a number of different follow-up systems that you might hear about while in the business as a consultant. There's a slew of training videos out there, I'm sure, on YouTube. But what works best for you is going to give you the most success in your own personal business, okay? So for myself, for example, I like to use, and have used for a number of years, the 2+2+2 system. That's basically following up 2 days after you deliver a customer's order. 2 days after you meet a customer, to thank them for attending the party or for showing up at your booth and making a purchase if you're at an event. 2 weeks following up with them after you've delivered their product to them. And then 2 months after you've delivered that product to see if they need a restock on anything and to see how they're doing. So that's the system that I've been using for quite some time. I've been a consultant now for about I always want to say almost 5 years, a little bit over 4.5 years. So that's the system that I've been using, and I've been doing that consistently, and it's been really successful for my business. Now, the reason why we always say that the fortune is in the follow-up is because it is. A lot of times you will hear other consultants or leaders refer to when you're not following up, you're basically leaving money on the table. And I can attest to that that is completely true. Okay, so I'm going to kind of show you how I do my follow-ups, and it's really simple. I always like to do things in a really simple manner because this is the way that I'm going to show my team members, whether they're my downline, my second line, third line, so on and so forth. I want to do everything as simple as possible so that they can repeat the very same thing. If, like I said, if this is something that is going to work for their business. Because everybody does things differently, which is great because, like I said, it works around our schedule, and we are all independent Scentsy consultants, so we can do things whichever way it works best for us. So I'm kind of old school. I do use Excel spreadsheets. I do use, I like handwriting things still, but I actually have an accordion. I don't know if you guys can see that there. I have an accordion style file folder, and I actually have this broken down by months. So depending on when somebody made a purchase, whether it was at a party or an event, that's actually how I will break down my orders. And I separate it out like that based on when they actually purchased. So in some of my slots, for example, I have ones that are like paper clipped. And that is because that was maybe with an entire party order. I have individual order forms from those who just submitted individual orders. But everything for me is pretty much broken down into the month that they purchased. That makes it really easy when I have to go back and do my 2x2x2 system, because I know exactly when the 2 months is going to hit, who I actually have to get in touch with. Okay? So like I said, if that makes your life easier to somehow get an organizer, a file folder, I know some people who still use a Rolodex. I know people that, and like I said, whatever way is going to be easiest for you to do your follow-up system, get a system in place. Create some kind of a system, because that is going to help you to be really successful in this business, okay? And it's going to help you to keep your sanity. It will. I'm going to use an example because I recently did our county fair here about 3 weeks ago. And when I did the county fair, I applied my 2x2x2 method. So the fair was 5 days long. So even if I met somebody on day one, on the third day of the fair, when before I headed out to the fair, for example, I would get a list of all of the people that I met, my customers that I met day one, and I would actually call every single one of those people. Now, again, the follow-up system is completely up to you on how you want to do it. You can either call, text, send them an email, Facebook message them if you've added them as a friend on Facebook. I personally like the phone calls because I feel like, for example, when you meet somebody, right, whether it's a home party or on location party or at an event, a lot of times you're still kind of fresh in their mind. So when you do call them, they're not going to be like, wait, who is this? I don't know who this is. Every single person that I called. So this big, huge stack right here, this was from 5 days of the fair. Okay. Every single person got a personal phone call from me, thanking them, number one, for stopping by my booth, for supporting my family business. Number two, I asked every single person, because after every single person left, if they were comfortable with leaving their information with me, I would make little side notes so that when I did call them, I would be able to remember who they were and to ask them about their specific product that they purchased if they were enjoying it. And then number three, I made sure that I told everybody that we're having a 10% off sale this month, and about our Scentsy Joint special for this month as well. And if they needed anything else in the future, to please feel free to save my information in their phone, and they can always feel free to call and text me. You guys, you have no idea how happy all of these customers were. And I was very surprised when I was doing the follow-up calls. Almost everybody except for two of the customers answered the phone. They were extremely happy that I took the time to call them and to thank them. That's the biggest thing. It doesn't matter if they're spending $5 with me or if they're spending $50 with me. We as consultants need to show our customers our gratitude and how appreciative we are of them, because they don't need to shop with us. They can shop with anyone they want. If they don't have a consultant, guess what? When we take the time to make that follow-up phone call, when we take the time to reach out to our customers, you know what that says to them? That they are important to us, that they matter. And you know what happens after that? They stay loyal to you no matter what. Okay? And that's how I've been able to find a lot of success in my business, is definitely by picking up the phone and following up with my customers. So like I showed you before, I do have an organizer, like an accordion organizer that I use, and I split up all of my orders by month, by the month that I actually received the order. Now, for the customers that I recently met at the fair, what I mentioned before is that, of course, I always made side notes of things when I spoke to them once they left. Sometimes it did get a little bit busy, so I just kind of made, really quick shorthand notes and just jotted things down that I can remember right off the top of my head. I did make a note of everyone, of course, that purchased. If they purchased a warmer, that was listed on their order form. They did get a copy of that because we do have that lifetime manufacturing and electrical warranty. And you know what? A lot of customers did not know that. So that is something, whenever I speak to my customers, when I do my follow-ups, I always want to make sure that I'm informing my customers of those kinds of things with our warranty. Sometimes they have questions about how to change their wax. I actually met somebody at the fair recently, and he was another vendor that purchased Scentsy from another consultant a couple months ago. And he said, you know what? I could not for the life of me figure out why I couldn't smell my Scentsy. And I just thought, you know what? It's not a great product. But he said, I wanted to ask you, how am I supposed to change out the wax? And I said, yes, you definitely are. He said, well, I didn't see anything in there of how to do that. So see, that's why sometimes it's very important that we do make our follow-up phone calls, because sometimes customers do have really simple questions like that. But just like us, they have lives, they get busy, sometimes they forget, they lose their information, and you know what happens? They don't get their questions answered. And then sometimes they end up going, walking away from this, from their purchase, for example, with a bad experience. And we don't want that. We want customers to have an excellent experience every single time with any Scentsy product that they purchase. Okay. But like I said, when I do my follow-up phone calls, I always use the back of the order form at the bottom. And I know everybody, like I said, they have a different way of doing it. This works really good for me. I don't like to have different papers located in different sections. I want to have everything together on one solid paper. So whenever I'm making my follow-up phone calls, on the very back, on the bottom of their order form, I'm going to list what I've actually done. So like on this one, for example, I always put the date so that I know when I contacted them, and then I put how I contacted them. So I just put on there in my notation that I called and I left a voicemail. Most likely they didn't answer the phone, so I did leave a voicemail for them. Again, to number one, thank them for stopping by, for making a purchase. Number two, to ask them, if everything is working great for their product. And then number three, to let them know that if they ever need anything, they can always save my information and feel free to contact me by phone and by text. Okay, so that's kind of how I do my follow-up system. And like I said, I have had many experiences in my time as a Scentsy consultant when we think that, and I know sometimes it happens too, when you're a brand new consultant, you know what, everybody gets so excited and the orders are just flowing in and everything is just flowing and life is great. And then something happens after 3 to 6 months. And I even have team members that will tell me sometimes, you know what, I can't seem to get any orders. I don't have anybody that wants to buy. I'm going to go inactive. You guys, you know what? The first thing I always ask my team members is this: how is your list of 100 doing? Do you have a list of 100, first of all? Second of all, have you followed up with any of the customers that have purchased from you in the past 3 to 6 months? How is your follow-up system going? You know what? Every single time I ask those two questions, more than likely the answer is no. So my first what's the word I'm looking for? My first recommendation to them is number one, get that list of 100 updated. If you don't even have one, let's get it started. In your business references, there is a list of 100. If you go to your business references, you're going to be able to print that out. Okay, you can even use Excel or Microsoft Word, whatever's easiest for you. Create that list of 100. Okay, because there's no way you're going to know who you're supposed to contact if you don't even have that. That's like your map. And that's something that you're going to keep throughout your entire journey as a Scentsy consultant, because it will be ever changing. Okay. Number two, if they have not done any follow-ups, or if they tell me I've done follow-ups, I always ask this question: have you picked up the telephone? You know what? More than likely, the answer is going to be no. And I always tell them, you know what? It's so much easier to text. It's so much easier to send an email. I know it's super easy to Facebook message, but you know what? Just like us, we all get wrapped up in things, whether it's work, our personal life, our kids, our families. You know what? Sometimes people look at messages and they forget to respond. I've done it. I have done that a million times. And sometimes I'm like, oh, dang it, I should have not read the message. I should have waited until I had time to respond, because then that person sees that I read it, but then I don't respond for a couple days and they think, oh, wow, she's shady. That's not the case, guys. Sometimes people get extremely busy and they forget. It happens to all of us. But you know what's even better is when we pick up that phone, when we give them that phone call, you know what happens? More than likely, they either end up picking up the phone, so you can just ask them that really quick spiel, about how they're doing, if they need a refill on anything. It's that simple. And either you're going to get a yes or a no. And of course, if you get a no, that's okay. But you know what? They know that you care about them, not just as a customer, but as a person, that they matter to you. Okay. And sometimes I think when they hear your voice, it comes off so much better, aside from a text message or a Facebook message or an email. Of course, like I said, a lot of times people are very limited. We all have different schedules. And some of us, like I said, that's why we're Scentsy consultants, because we can work this business at our convenience on our own time and our own schedules, which is great. But you know what? Like I said, my biggest thing to my team is always pick up the phone if you can. So this is kind of my background a little bit. I wanted to share this because I feel like this is really important. So I have been on both sides, okay? And what I mean by that is when I started Scentsy, I was a brand new stay-at-home mom. So I was home with my kids. I was trying, I say trying because I really was trying to work my business full-time, but I was pregnant with my daughter, who's our second. My son, he was 1.5 at that time. And I was working my business, it felt like endlessly. So I had the opportunity for the past 4.5 years to be a stay-at-home mom, to work my Scentsy business when I wanted to and however long I wanted to, which was great. I went back to work 3 weeks ago. So now I'm working full-time and I'm still a Scentsy consultant. And I have, like I said, now that I'm on both sides, I really have been able to manage, I feel like manage so much better now that I'm back to work. And the reason being, and I was just sharing this with my team, is because I created systems prior to going back to work, okay? Now the follow-up system that I have, that I've been using for years since I've been a consultant, this is the reason why I have been able to be so successful in my business, even now, as a full-time working mom, okay? So when I hear customers, when I hear consultants, even on my team, or like I said, on other teams say, I have no time to make a phone call. I have no time for myself. I have no time for my family. I work too much. I have too much going on. My one model that I've always learned to live by is this: if it's important, you will make time for it. And you know what? Now that I'm a full-time working mom, Scentsy is still very important to me. Actually, when I went back to work, a lot of my customers were like, wait a minute, so does that mean you're not going to be doing Scentsy anymore? I said, no, I still do Scentsy. I'm still going to do it full-time. It's still my full-time gig. I said, no, I would never, ever give up on Scentsy. But I told them, you know what? There comes a time in life when my kids are grown now. My kids are, my daughter's going to be 4, my son just turned 6, and they're both in school. And I said, you know what? I enjoyed so much of my time last year volunteering at the school that I've decided to go back, because I actually have, prior to Scentsy, I had a career where I worked with people in general. So, it's something that I'm very passionate about. I love secondary education in general. And even this, doing these types of trainings, these are things that I really do enjoy doing with my team as well. But I want you guys to know how important it is to have some type of a follow-up system. Like I said, there's no way that you can be successful, and it doesn't matter if it's Scentsy or any other business out there, if you do not have some type of follow-up system or systems in general. You are going nowhere. There's no way that you're going to be able to be successful, because like I said, whenever I first joined as a Scentsy consultant, I was just rocking and rolling with the orders and with the sales and, people booking parties. And I was just, the excitement is there, the drive is there. But what we have to remember is when that all goes away, and sometimes it goes away sooner than later for others, we have to remember those that have given us their business. These customers, it doesn't matter where we meet them. It doesn't matter if we meet them at a home party where there's only 3 people there, or if we go to a big fair, we meet hundreds of people there. Every single customer has to know how much they matter to us, how important their business is to us. Because every single customer of mine, whenever I go to shows with specific customers in that area and they come and see me at my booth, you know what? I don't even care if they buy anything. I'm a hugger. So I hug every single customer that comes to my booth, and I thank them every single time I see them, whether it's at a show or out in public. I want them to know how grateful I am, how appreciative I am. Like I said, they don't have to be my customer. There's a lot of other really fantastic Scentsy consultants out there, and they can choose any other one. But I know that they choose me because you know what? I take the time to follow up with them. And sometimes I'll send them goodies in the mail, or I'll just send them little cards in the mail to thank them and help, and to tell them to have a good day. That's the biggest part. What really happens when you do your follow-ups is you don't just create a contact for a customer. And it's not always Scentsy related. I have met some of the most amazing customers who are now dear friends to me and my family. And that would have never happened had I not follow up with them. Had I just taken their order, that would have been a good sale for one day, right? But if I would have just done that, just taken their order and never have been missing out on the opportunity to get to know some really amazing people. And like I said, who have become almost like a second family to my family and I. So it is extremely important to take care of our customers. They support our business. And like I said, they don't have to, but they do because they love the products. And I know eventually when you guys get to know your customers, when you get to know who they really are, it is so important to tell them how much you really appreciate them. So definitely, like I said, follow up, create some type of a system that's going to work for you. If you have not ever done a follow-up with your customers, start today, okay? I hope everybody enjoyed this video, and I hope everybody has a great day.